In part one of this project, we dove into the nostalgic experiment from 1985, where the British show 4 computer buffs attempted to broadcast software using just a flashing dot on the screen, a real flashback to the early days of digital communication. After piecing together ancient schematics from a magazine and learning how it all works, we went back to the future to try to decode the past today with our trusty Commodore 64 and a phototransistor circuit we assembled with a bit of modern help from PCBWay. To receive the software, we needed to calibrate this circuit with a tuning program broadcast in an earlier episode of theirs, which we played into our Commodore from a cassette. Despite facing the challenges of outdated technology and degraded video quality, we managed to set up our equipment and prepare for the moment of truth. Will the past light up our present this time? Would I let you down? Well, I don't know, I haven't seen it yet. Stay tuned to find out. And first things first, at the very end of part one, I just couldn't get the computer to receive anything via that phototransistor. And as 197 of you helpfully pointed out, despite my pinned comment about that very point, it does indeed seem that the model of phototransistor that we chose to replace the discontinued one that they used in 1985 was more tuned to infrared light and included a daylight filter, which would likely filter out much of the flashing dots and white light. So even though we've done everything else correctly, it never would have worked. Oh dear, who chose that part? Lauren, get over here. Oh, you're 470 miles away. Don't worry about it. Look, never mind. What we really need to do is track down an FPT 100 or a 2N5777 from 1985. I wonder who from the 80s we can call on to help us track one down. Okay, kid, I need your help with a very special mission. We've got this vintage circuit board made by those criminals who operate above the law, PCBWay, and it's missing a very special vintage component.
Sounds like a circuit breaker of a situation. Michael, let's track down that elusive component together.
All right, it's a piece of technological archaeology called an FPT 100 phototransistor. Are you familiar with those?
FPT 100. A rare phototransistor known for its excellent sensitivity. Buckle up while I calculate the quickest route to our tech treasure. Just keep your eyes on the prize, and I'll keep us on the right track.
Do you remember any missions with Michael where you had to retrieve a piece of technological archaeology, maybe a computer chip or such like?
The futuristic game commands chair. That mission involved outsmarting some tech thieves.
I don't remember that mission, Kit. What year did that take place?
Let's estimate it took place in the near future, around 1990. Just a hunch.
Wait, 1990 is the future?
Time flies when you're chasing down villains, doesn't it?
It sure does. Kit, don't worry. You're not the only one guilty of living in the past.
True, Michael. I'm just a classic car with a flair for retro adventures.
That's handy because we're going on one right now. Let's hit the road. Hey Kit, did you know Sinclair make gas stations now?
Sinclair, those dynamite gas stations, fueling up crime-fighting adventures since before gas prices were pun-ishing. Just keep your eyes on the road, Michael. I'll handle the witty commentary.
All right. It looks like we're nearly there as well. Keep your scanners peeled, okay, buddy?
Scanners activated, Michael. I'm detecting all kinds of shenanigans nearby. Let's roll into action.
Yeah, I see them. Okay, Kit, package acquired.
Closing the door now, Michael. Safety first. Nobody wants uninvited guests on our mission.
All right, well, we've got what we need. Let's go take it to Devon. Actually, Devon's a bit far. Let's go to the Foundation.
Great idea, Michael. Buckle up. I'll take you to the Foundation faster than a speeding ticket.
Okay, kid, I'm gonna catch 40 winks. You wake me when we're back at the foundation, okay?
You got it, Michael. Sweet dreams. I'll keep an eye on the road and the bad guys.
Alright, it's the next morning and it's time to try our tech relic acquired from a crime syndicate. Some guy on Fleabay. And as you can see, it has a dome top and perfectly matches the one they showed in the show. Now, I'm a sucker for some tinkering, so let's rebuild our sucker and put it to the test. And as you may have noticed, I recommend PCB Way, where you can get great quality PCBs starting at just $5. Because as we all know, PCB stands for Past Computer Buffs, doesn't it? And let's tidy up some of this terrible quality scrap wire that I used and replace it with these highly rated new wire reels I just bought for $18. Link in description. And notice how close I'm able to get my right hand ring finger to the scorching hot iron without burning myself. Don't try this at home unless you're a professional like me. Yeah, if you can smell bacon, you're probably soldering wrong.
Happiness is a cigar called Hamlet, the mild cigar.
So from mild cigars and mild burns to my old TV. And in part one, we couldn't get any reading at all using our oscilloscope with the other phototransistor. So let's test it now and... Look! Pulses! That could be reading the refresh rate of the screen. Yes, it is. Look, 50 hertz. That's fascinating. So it was actually reading how many times the screen is updating. The scan lines are running down there 50 times a second. Okay, now things are looking really promising. So the trick now is we've got to get that asterisk to just disappear until it never comes back. And in the show, they say the point of this is...
Whether the square seems white or black to the receiver board will depend upon the brightness and contrast settings of your TV. So we'll have to adjust that later on to your own particular TV set.
But on Lemon64 forum, I'm told that's not right, and the tuning of the resistor actually controls the timing for detecting the flashes on the screen. If the resistor's value is wrong, the program will miss flashes or just misinterpret them. And really, I'm at the top of the dial here, so that must be right bang on 470 kilo ohms. Now it's disappeared, so I'm just on that borderline of the asterisk appearing and disappearing. So I think I've got the resistance correct. They say leave it 15 minutes. I'm going to do that, see if it comes back. Fingers crossed. That's peace. Oh, that's something else. Okay, well the asterisk hasn't reappeared and our dot is ready on our screen. It says press spacebar now, which ironically I have to press the spacebar on the laptop to pause the video so we can get it running on here and then press the spacebar here to start hopefully receiving it. This is actually really nerve-wracking. I have no idea if it's working. I'm just imagining the data flowing in through here and hopefully into the user port, but my heart is racing.
Starting from scratch and with as little adult help as possible. Hi kids.
Hi.
Right, now what are you all doing? What are you up to? Cutting some
She's nervous for us
tubing
too.
there, are you? Right, what about you? Do you think you're really old enough to build this?
No, I think you should really be about 16.
Alright, well, the flashing dot has gone away. Let's reconnect our Commodore 64 and see if there's anything there. It says ready. Now what we can do is type in list and see if it's received a program. It just looks like our receiver program. It hasn't received anything. The transmission is finished. Save the program onto tape or disk using the usual instructions. But it just saves this. I am completely flummoxed. Just like that. But who aren't flummoxed are our friends on Lemon 64 again, because they just noticed something. Firstly, you have to understand, we only have little snippets of this show dotted around YouTube to go on, 4-minute segments and such like. And because of that, we don't have an overall clear picture of how this project came about. But it seemed like this program was the program, being transmitted here as a single basic file that would work on Commodore, BBC or Spectrum Basic all the same. But there's a clue at the start of another episode when Tony Bastable made this slightly embarrassing admission.
Indeed, yes, but if you own a BBC machine, we're probably not your favourite people, especially if you tried to download last week's light software. We discovered what went wrong. There was a patching error between the software DOT and our master videotape recorder. Well, we did tell you it was a bit of an experiment. So now that we've sorted that out, we're going to be repeating the light software for the BBC machine in 2 weeks' time, on March the 25th.
And as it turns out, in this episode number 7, they were only transmitting the flashing dot for the BBC Model B, not our Commodore 64. So even though we've done everything else correctly, it never would have worked. Now I worked out that they'd initially sent the BBC code with bugs in it in episode 4, and then they resent it in episode 7, which means we can deduce that the Spectrum was episode 6, and for our PCB, we need episode 5, not 7, and that's the Commodore 64 code transmission.
If the Commodore 64 is the light of your life, then stay tuned, because today's the day we transmit the light software for that machine.
Only the single version of it on YouTube is very badly degraded. Still, after all this, it's worth a shot, isn't it? So join me in part 3 when... No, I'm just kidding. Let's go light fantastic right now. And I've got the tuning program loaded. You can see it on the tiny screen there. So let's try tuning to this episode's white dot. Our little asterisk went away. That's so satisfying when that works as well. So let's reboot and try this out. God, if you thought I was nervous before, my heart is racing. Okay, let's just do it. Run sys 49152. Let's do it.
The forward is set the mouse.
Okay, now let's look inside the flower program.
It really makes you think, if we're having this much trouble in 2024 with, video files and the ability to play things in a snap from YouTube, imagine trying to do this in 1985 with just your VCR. Imagine if you didn't even have a VCR and you were trying to do it live. You had one shot. This one is significantly longer than the BBC one. I guess that's why they called it a micro.
Well, the screen is wrapping round, and I forgot to turn that feature off. It's quite easy to turn it off with logo, you just type a different word. It's rather pretty all the same, right? Yes, but it often turns out, actually, that doing something by accident ends you up somewhere nicer than where you thought you were going. Something language is like basic ability to do good graphics.
That's not going to help us. Oh, that's not good. Gonna try and trip it into finishing here. Yeah, there it goes. Yeah. Nothing. I think it's just too low quality, and that rippling is a big problem as well. So even though we've done everything else correctly, it never would have worked. Now, I do have a BBC Micro over there, as you saw at the start, and the thing I could do is use the better quality recording for the BBC Micro version However, one of the perils of trying to make a video every single week, an all-enclosed, all-encompassing project, is I have a PCB here, which is designed for the Commodore 64, not the BBC Micro. Would that have even worked though? We've seen people saying they couldn't get it working, and we've seen the show admitting time after time to making mistakes there as well.
In the item, Mike was using a white sucker, white cup hook sucker, so that you could see it more clearly. In real life, we suggest you go out and try and find something like this, a thick black one.
All 6 of the fixed value resistors, so either just 5, 2, 1. There's a slight bug in the component list here, however, as the binary numbers come out upside down if you use the transistor suggested in our copy.
Yeah, this was always a long shot. It was 40 years ago after all. And for anyone wondering, why not try directly on the laptop screen to, cut out one step? Unfortunately, that would never work either, because the entire PCB and all the resistors and the capacitor, it's all built around looking for the 50 Hz refresh flashes that are very particular to CRT screens, not LED ones. The tuning program here won't even tune to it. But if you know me at all, you know I never like to give up, and something kept pulling me back in to think maybe there's just one thing I haven't considered. And all those people who had said they tried it in the day and it didn't work for them either. So that doesn't necessarily mean it's down to our bad quality video file right now. It could be something else intrinsic to the project. And indeed, my friends on Lemon 64 investigating and looking at the program have discovered something really bizarre. The receiving program is actually missing the end of its code. It doesn't allow a way to actually save what it's received back into the Commodore's memory. It just receives it, A5, 2B, 85, and forgets it. And it's the same, A5, FD. So it seems like the program wrote nothing to the memory. And that means if everyone was using the same code we were using, even though we've done everything else correctly, it never would have worked. But user imforg, or imforg, or lmforg, some kind of forg, says this. If I've got this fixed right, then it should actually store received bytes at basic start. So if the data's read okay, you'll have a new basic program, which is exactly what I expected, but wasn't happening. Instead of ending at 180, it has one extra line and ends at 190. So I'm going to key this in, and let's just see if it makes a difference. Okay, I'm going to save that as a new receive program. receive2.prg. Now, fun side note, that flashing dot actually transmits at 0.05 kilobits per second, and I sped up that clip 10 times, which means that sped up clip is still 200,000 times slower than our modern data transfer speeds today. Kind of shows you how far we've come. But have we come far with this test? Let's check it out. So first things first, I'm going to save whatever we've received into the floppy disk. Oh, those were the days. And that way it's safe. And then let's type list and see what we've got. Nothing. But again, I kept trying with different tuning settings, different positioning of the photo transistor, till I just got this. Totoro. Save? Why would it be Totoro? Whatever I tried, all I could receive was seemingly gobbledygook, and as I continued to try to figure this all out, it seemed Totoro, that magic sprite who guides children and their imaginations, much like this project aimed to do in 1985, is trying to tell me something. But the more I tried to grab at the answer, the more it kept slipping from my grasp. And before long, it seemed everywhere I looked, that flashing dot was looking back at me from the eyes of other magic creatures. A cat bag holding a maths book? What did it all mean? So, I think it's basically working. What it all comes down to, I think, is that flashing dot and the stability of that signal being preserved over 40 years with a really badly compressed MPEG file now. Now, for what it's worth, I have reached out to Thames Television and Fremantle, who now own the rights and the footage, to see if they might have a full resolution version of that episode still in their archives. I don't hold out much hope, though. So unless we hear back from Fremantle or Thames Television with a higher quality recording, I think we might have to admit defeat. Just enjoy the present instead. Hold on, stop everything. I just heard back from Thames TV, and they're going to send us the tape tomorrow morning UK time, which will be nighttime here, but that's fine. Guys, this is almost unprecedented, and I can't thank them enough for taking my credit card number in exchange for the footage. And if you'd like to support projects like this, I'm offering a 7-day free trial on Patreon, where you'll get ad-free, early access to videos and double the content. Thank you for your support. So while we wait for that original tape to come in, let me explain why it's so important. Firstly, the original UK broadcast was 25i, or 25 frames per second, interlaced. This means instead of showing you 50 full pictures per second, which would use almost twice as much valuable UHF radio wave bandwidth, it showed you half the picture using 50 fields per second, first the odd lines, then the even ones. It's like painting a fence with two brushes, one for the odd slats and one for the even. And together those slats made a complete picture. And with a 50 Hz CRT TV, it gave the illusion of a smooth 50 frames a second image, but only using 25 frames, and therefore half the bandwidth. But here's the catch. If you lose one brush, well, you're only painting half the fence. And that's where I think our issue comes in. When we downloaded the footage from YouTube, it had already been de-interlaced, a fancy term for throwing one brush away. YouTube merged both interlaced frames into one single frame, giving us still 25 frames per second, but uninterlaced. And in doing so, we lost every other flash of the magic dot we're trying to decode. So even though we've done everything else correctly, it never would have worked. It also explains our bizarre listings. Commodore BASIC was passing nonsense numbers into their associated words, like to and or, repeated over and over. And that's why getting our hands on the original 25i 1985 broadcast tape is crucial. It is the early hours of the morning here in California. The footage has just come in from Thames Television in England. I'm slightly excited to try it out. Not really very much. But there's nothing else to say. Let's try it out. And more good news, looking at the file properties, it is in PAL resolution and 25i, meaning that interlace is still intact. So let's queue up our footage, and I'm going to make sure that VLC, which is our video program, has got deinterlacing turned off, so it isn't trying to do anything naughty like very naughty YouTube was trying to do.
If the Commodore 64 is the light of your life, then stay tuned, because today's the day we transmit the light software for that machine.
And you can see a good example of how this is interlaced. You see that flicker? Well, that's because it's trying to draw a very fine line within very fine lines. And so you can see the line jittering between the odd and even scan lines.
Discovered what went wrong.
And here for the first time is our 50 flashes per second dot. With our sucker once again attached and our receive program once again receiving, let's hope Totoro grants our 3 wishes.
Well, I suppose I was the wizard from the planet Nibu Krognod, and I came down and offered you 3 wishes. What would be the best choice of third wish?
That I could pronounce it.
I suppose so. No, I think the best choice would be to ask for 3 more wishes.
Nibu Kromrod. Oh, for sake, this stupid project. even with every dot flash now intact, it still isn't working. Look, it's crucial we've got everything exactly as it would have been for 1985 UK households and TV broadcasts, and I'm sure we have. We have a UK TV set we've measured at 50 Hz. We have the original 25i footage interlaced to 50 fields per second. We're passing it from the laptop through a PAL 25i capable adapter. The laptop isn't deinterlacing the signal. Wait, everything needs to be set to 50 Hz, even the laptop's HDMI output port. Let's check if it is. No, it's set to 60. So even though we've done everything else correctly, it never would have worked. And with that set to 50 Hz, let's try again. Oh, please. Now, if you're thinking there's a thing I should try, don't worry, I already tried it, probably. I flew to India to get the two N5777s. No good. I rebuilt the entire PCB. No good. I added a more accurate 470 kilo ohm variable resistor. No good. I tried a silicone seal. No good. I tried bypassing RF altogether, going straight to composite with a different CRT. No good. I even tried enlarging the dot to full screen in true Blade Runner style.
Enhance 34 to 46.
No flashing good. So then I thought, well, nobody got this circuit working on the C64 in the 80s. Maybe we need a more modern approach to decode the dot without using our circuit at all. And in steps Lemon64 and Daniele, aka DDT, who has just written us a Python decoder script. First, we need to calculate the coordinates of the dot on the screen and input that to our script. Next, we launch the decoder, which will pass every field and frame of the video file and output a binary file, which should be our program. Every white flash becomes a 1, and every black field becomes a 0. And there's our file, and let's preview it in Terminal. Guys, look, a tantalizing glimpse of some finally readable code. Guys, that is our program from the past, hopefully now in the present. But we can't just run a binary file. We first need to tell the Commodore 64 how and where to load it. To do this, we just need to add 2 bytes, 01 and 08, at the beginning of the file. First, we insert 2 spaces at the beginning in the text editor, then we enter hex mode, and then we change the 2 spaces to 0108. This will hopefully tell the Commodore 64 that this is a basic program to be loaded at address 0801. But will it work? And here we are, for what is hopefully the last step in a good way. And I suppose it is kind of fitting that to receive our program from the past, we have to step into the future a little bit with some future technology. And then we're going to put this back in our old original C64 and step back into the past, do things how they intended us to do it then. It is a little bit of a shame, of course, that our device didn't work. Everyone I know has checked the schematics. We've done everything correctly. I hate to say it, and this is no disrespect to them, because believe me, I know the struggle of hitting a deadline for releasing a video or a TV show, but they did make a few mistakes, and they probably made some more that are maybe leading to this issue. Let's put all that behind us. I'm going to put this disk in my Lego SD to IEC. It is loaded, and it is now as if we've just received the computer program from the past. All I have to do is put it in memory. I've called it progpast. Alright, in theory, it's in memory now. Let's see if we finally get a listing. Oh my gosh, I've been waited so long to see this. Look, computer buffs. God, I've probably tried over 100 times. I'm speechless. Look at it. All right, we've just got to run it. You ready? Sorry, guys. My bad. I've put the wrong file into the editing software. I'm so tired from this whole project. My bad. Let's just rewind and try that again. All right, we've just got to run it. You ready? There it is, for Computer Buffs, transmission of software by light experiment. Congratulations on building the circuit and receiving the software. Please press spacebar when ready. And that's the little bit that we saw initially in the hex code. I imagine that you've done this in 1985. You've built your contraption, the lights have flashed, the dots have flickered, and then your program appears. Are we ready? I think we are. A mathematical square. Please type a number between 1 and 100 and press return. There's got to be 85, hasn't it? Summing the entries in any row, column or diagonal, will give you 255. It's meant to be like a magic thing, isn't it? Do you want to try another number? Okay, 1. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Summing the entries in any row will give you 3. A mathematical square. I mean, I'm kind of speechless. So look, I wasn't expecting flashing lights and beautiful SID music blaring and a demo of a high-res graphics game. I knew it would probably be in BASIC, given how long it took to come in, even for BASIC. Would not actually give you many bytes, and as you see, it gave us about 1 kilobyte of binary. Yeah, I've got to think back to it if I was 12 and doing this, and I just received this thing that didn't exist, and now it's here on my computer doing maths. Type a number. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Oh, I see what they're using. They're using 50 as the denominator in the middle of the square, and then saying this is how we make 150. Whichever way you go. It's basically a cool way to do some maths. Okay, I get it now. My mind was, after 2 to 3 weeks of perplexing soldering and circuit board shenanigans, my mind was in a different place. But I think I get it now. I'll just give it one more go. This is actually quite addictive, isn't it? The year I was born, 73, 72, 73, 74. Let's just say it's a little bit quirky, isn't it? Well, there it is. Our computer program from the past is now here in the present, and there it is. That's now with us forever. I've saved it. I'm going to make it available in the link in the video description, along with the schematics if you want to try your luck building this for yourself. Now, did we cheat a little bit? Yes, arguably yes. We did still decode a flashing square in the corner of a screen, but we used some arguably much more modern methods. Although if you think about it, all their decode program is doing is exactly the same thing, looking at the binary and turning it into Commodore code. Well, if they'd written the end of the program, it would have done, but they forgot to do that. And I am going to move on to think up a new airbrain scheme to share with you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe and support below. And cheerio.
One man can make a difference, Perry. Or one woman. Or dog. The Fractics, lone curators in a vintage world. The world of retro recipes.
Well, I did win one thing. It's got a bloody rubber sucker on it.